Hi there, my name is Michelle Rushton and welcome to this session. This session is about a skill that truly great recruiters possess. It's the ability to be able to read between the lines of communication, specifically face-to-face communication. This is a skill that underpins and underlies all other interpersonal skills. It allows you as a recruiter to understand what your hiring manager or your candidate is really thinking or feeling when you're talking to them face-to-face or over video. What this allows you then is to be able to understand or perceive and detect hidden objections or reservations that they might have and have a system for overcoming them. That's what this session is about, so let me walk you through it. We're going to start by looking at why mind reading is game-changing for you, especially in the industry that you're in. And then we're going to move on to exactly how do you read people? What are you looking for? How do you do it? How do you know what people are thinking or feeling? And finally, we're going to look at what do you do next? Once you've received a signal from another person, once you think you've detected something and you've understood something in reading between the lines of communication, how do you respond? What do you do with that? What do you do next to move through it or move around it? That's what this session is going to look like today. Okay, let's start with the first section. What is mind reading and why is it so game-changing for you? Well, in the literature, mind reading is known under many different names. Some call it mind reading, others simply call it empathy or emotional contagion. Being able to read between the lines in communication and understand what other people are thinking or feeling. Some even call it mind sight or cognitive empathy. There are a number of experts whose work we're going to draw on in this session and whose work I'm using to help give you a system to interpret what you perceive in your conversations and interactions and know what to do with the information that you perceive and understand. So there's Paul Ekman, as you can see here, Simon Baron-Cohen from the University of Cambridge, William Icks from the University of Texas, and Joe Navarro, who's an ex-FBI interrogator and body language expert. These are the experts we'll be drawing on in this particular session, and the irony is not lost on me that even though we have all of these experts being men, popularly, women are normally considered to be better at this particular skill. So let's get started. That's what mind reading is, and we know that it is game-changing because pretty much every day we spend our time having conversations, having one-on-one face-to-face interactions with other human beings. And our success professionally depends on the success of those interactions. It depends on how well we can perceive, we can understand, and we can appropriately respond to the information, to the communication that we receive from the other person. As I said earlier, this skill underpins all other interpersonal skills. So if there's one place to put your focus and improve, this skill would be it. What you learn today, you can take into every conversation and interaction that you have from this point forward. You will have an opportunity to practice this the minute you leave this conference. That's why it's so game-changing for you, especially as a recruiter. Let's move now to section 2. We're going to have a look at exactly how you read people. How do you mind read? How do you read between the lines and understand what they're really thinking or feeling when you're in communication with others? First of all, let's bust a couple of myths. You can't tell reliably whether or not someone is lying. You can't tell reliably exactly what is going through their head, exactly what feeling they're having, exactly what thought that they're having. That's just not possible. What we can read and the way we read others, the way we get messages that help us to change what we're doing and the way we're approaching the conversation and the way we work out what they are thinking and feeling, is we read two types of signals: comfort and discomfort. So when you're starting to learn this skill, that is what you're looking for. comfort signals and discomfort signals from the other person. Let me show you how this all fits together and what you're looking for when you're trying to read someone in this conversation. Here's the overall system. When you're in a conversation with somebody else, the most important thing to be doing is managing your attention, staying present with that person and staying observant, really paying attention to what they do, not just what they're saying, but what they're doing throughout the conversation. And you're looking for two different types of behaviors, comfort and discomfort. A comfort signal from someone is what we call a green light. A discomfort signal from another person, especially a cluster of discomfort signals, is definitely a red light. Let's dive into exactly what they look like. The first thing to look for is movement up or down. Here are some examples. When sports people are celebrating, the natural human inclination is to move up. Not only do you feel comfortable, you feel joyous, you feel excited, you're as comfortable as you could possibly be because you've won a race. We all do this instinctively and we know exactly what it looks like. Conversely, discomfort signals are the opposite. We move down. All of our body language is moving us down and crouching us over, making us smaller when we feel smaller and when we feel uncomfortable. Here's the second one. The second signal you're looking for is whether someone is open or closed. Open is a signal of comfort, closed is a signal of discomfort. Let's have a look at a few examples. Closed can be crossing of the arms, it can be crossing of the legs, it can be simply closing your eyes or putting your hand over your eyes when you don't want to see something. These can be really subtle. Protecting or covering or closing parts of your body, especially that are more vulnerable, is a signal of discomfort. Here's the third one. The third signal you're looking for is whether someone is moving towards you or away from you. Moving towards you is a sign of comfort. Moving away, even ever so slightly, is a sign of discomfort. Here are some examples. You can see how here this person is interested. They're comfortable and they're enjoying the conversation, so they're leaning in. Here's another one. Loose and tight body movements. Loose is comfort. Tight is stress or discomfort of some sort. It's important to remember that very often, many of these signals that other people in the conversation are giving off are subconscious. They're not intending to communicate to you their discomfort or their comfort. But if you start to watch and look for these signals, they're telling you so much, and you can read often more than they realize. This is an example of someone who is uncomfortable and their mouth and their lips are tight. This is another example. There's two discomfort signals here, the tight lips and the covering or closing of that neck and chest area. Okay, let's have a look at two more signs that you could use to interpret whether or not people are comfortable or not comfortable, signs of comfort or discomfort. The first is isopraxis, which is more commonly known as mirroring. You've probably heard of it. Mirroring is a sign of comfort. If you are comfortable around another person or in a group of people, you will unconsciously mirror them. Let's have a look at what that really is. They're all, to a certain extent, copying each other with their body language and their movements, as if they were in a mirror. They're doing similar things, just as these gentlemen are, with their hands, with their legs, and even with their faces. All standing the same way, facing the same way is a form of mirroring. Having hand gestures that are particularly uncool is also a sign of mirroring. You can see that these two are not mirroring each other. And you can see the discomfort. Not just in the lack of mirroring, but also in the looking away. They're looking where they want to be, and you can see tension, at least in his mouth. While mirroring is a sign of comfort, Pacifying behaviors are a sign of discomfort. Pacifying means that you're trying to calm yourself. Think of a baby trying to suck their thumb or sucking a dummy. They're trying to do something to calm themselves down physiologically. Pacifying behaviors are behaviors that we all do when, even if we don't realize it, we need to calm ourselves down. And it's a sign, obviously, of discomfort. So while mirroring is a great sign, pacifying behaviors are not. Let's have a look at some of them. An exhale that is audible, an exhale that you can hear, is typically a pacifying behavior. Someone is focusing on their breathing and using an exhale to calm themselves down. Rubbing the temples, rubbing the face, in fact, doing anything like that to your face or your hands, rubbing your hands, can also be another sign that they're trying to pacify. Let's have a look at these now in terms of the mind reading system as a whole. We've got a number of comfort signals and a number of discomfort signals that you can refer to. This is your go-to list. When you are in any conversation from this point forwards, keep this list in your mind. You're looking for discomfort signals like down, closed, away, tight. They are red lights in your conversation. So are any kind of pacifying behaviors. This is the start of the mind reading system. As soon as you're in a conversation, you want to look at what the other person is saying to you, but look at them as a whole. Don't just hear the words, look at all the other signals that they're sending you. And the first thing to do is to be able to detect discomfort, detect red lights. Let's watch a video to give an example of this. I need to give you a language warning at the outset. The very end of this video has some highly offensive language. I'm not using the video for that purpose. The language is irrelevant. Please bleep it out or just don't listen if you think it'll be offensive for you. But the purpose of this, and it's a story told by comedians intended to be humorous. The purpose of me showing it to you is it's a perfect example of so many of these comfort and discomfort signals in context, in practice, in a normal conversation between a group of human beings. And I'd love for you to practice your mind reading as you're watching.
It was actually an incident where it was my first attempt at stand-up comedy. And what happened was I'd always wanted to do stand-up comedy. I didn't have the guts to do it. I got very drunk. I had a go at doing it as a blue coat. My mate said to me, just copy all the other comedians at Pontins and steal their jokes and basically talk to the front row. So you're supposed to say, where are you from? They say Scotland. You say, who paid for your holiday? Where are you from? Wales. You make a noise like a sheep. Rubbish jokes, right? But I said, that's terrible. He said, don't worry, you're just padding. What you're doing is you're looking for comedy gold, which is, where are you from? They say Kent, and you say, what did you call me? Right? Now, at Pontins, this used to take the roof off, right? So I tried it, but I was very drunk. So I go on stage, and I say, where are you from? This bloke says Scotland. I can't remember the joke. I say hello. Then I said where are you from? The guy says Wales. I black out and I go, hi. I panic. And then I say, anyone in from Kent? And this bloke shouts out, me. And I said, well, you're a So I'm sent to Morecambe. I know people always end these things with, I swear to God, that's a true story. But that is verbatim how it works. It's still in your act, isn't it? It's still in my act, it really.
So let's have a look at what you do next. Once you've read comfort or discomfort signals in a conversation, you've seen some green lights or you've seen some red lights, what do you do with that? How do you dig deeper and start to understand what that person is really thinking or feeling? Let's go to the final section. How do you respond? Well, have a look at this mind reading system. We know already that you start by managing your attention and you make observations and you see either green lights or red lights. But then what? Let's look at the green lights first of all. If you're in conversation and you are seeing lots of green lights, what do? Just like on the road, if you see green, you keep going. You keep having the conversation, you keep talking, and you plow forward. If, on the other hand, you're seeing a whole lot of red lights, at least one or two, but maybe even a cluster, what do? Don't run the red. Just like on the road, you need to stop immediately. Stop talking. You need to find out what is going on. Have you read it correctly? Are they just cold and so they're covering their arms and covering their body? Are they uncomfortable in their chair and that's why they're moving away? Is there another reason why they're stressed? You don't know, but you need to find out before you continue that conversation, before you continue the argument you were making. Because as soon as people become uncomfortable, they stop listening. As soon as people become uncomfortable, they stop listening. And they certainly stop being influenced by you and agreeing with you. So as soon as you get a red light, here's what you do. You stop and you ask a question. You ask for their opinion. You ask for their perspective. You ask for their experiences on this. You ask what they think. You want to get them talking. You need to dig a little deeper to find out what's really going on. If it's possible, if it's appropriate, you can ask, do they feel uncomfortable? What are their thoughts on this? How are they feeling? You want to try to understand, are they uncomfortable? And if so, why? And you won't be able to do that while you are still holding court and you are still talking. So stop, take a moment, re-engage them by asking a question. Continue to ask questions and get their perspective and understand things from their point of view until you see green lights, until you see comfort. Once you feel like you are reassured that this person is comfortable again, you can start to try to continue the conversation in the direction it might have been going before. But tread carefully. Take into account whatever you've just heard, whatever you've just explored, and tread carefully. If you see another cluster of red lights, you do the same thing. You stop, you re-engage, and you ask questions. So there you go. That's mind reading. That's a few tips for you on how to better read people in face-to-face communication. Use this system. You look for red lights and green lights and know that do not run a red. When you get a red light or a cluster of red lights, stop. Ask a question and create comfort before you proceed. Hope that's been helpful for you. My name's Michelle Rushton. I'm Director of People of Influence. Hope to see you online soon. Bye for now.